Welcome in, welcome in. Let's go ahead, start tapping that screen, sharing the live. Let's get this out on the FYP and see if we can get some people coming up. I just want to know, why is God a sick fuck? Hop on up, let's talk about it. Curious if I can get any good answers. Got Fizzletop in here. Edward's in here. Leela's in here. Also streaming over on YouTube. So checking some stuff over here. The demiurge. I don't know anything about a demiurge. Let's see if we can get some debates in. How you doing, Mike? Is Jaron done for the day, or was he just doing a restart? Hello, 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 hello. You know what? I haven't worn it for a minute. Let's wear the brown hat. I've not worn this one for a hot minute. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if he was done or if he was just doing a restart. That's fair. How you doing, Mateo? You know what? Let's bring this one. Let's run this one right now. See if we get anybody coming up to want to debate. How you doing, F dot? Got 16 people over on YouTube. That one 3D guy. What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm going live and we're talking about God. What are you doing? So hopefully we get somebody coming over. If you're on YouTube and you do want to debate, links are down in the description for TikTok. Come on over to TikTok. We can definitely have a chat there. I'm going to be hopefully getting Video Ninja set up so I can take people over from YouTube. We can have them come up. How you doing, Mac? Right now I've got 17 people on YouTube watching their Tom's Dumpster. So this is being dual streamed, so I'm streaming to both TikTok and YouTube right now. Well, Lewis, you're mentioning God have humans free will. Lewis, are you an atheist? If you're not, hop on over. Let's talk about. I just want to talk about why Christianity is false. Her Kimchiness, that guest was wild, and they are deep down that conspiracy rabbit. We're going to go ahead and bring up our first guest. And it looks like they ran. They did not want to come up. Philly over on YouTube, Philly, Opal, and Gem. Yes, I would say they're all false. It's all mythology, all of it mythology. Mac, I have been well. I can't complain at all. I've been doing well. Just waiting to get some Christians come up here, though. Hopefully, we'll get a debate in. I genuinely want to know how they can give me any evidence, give me a strong evidence or argument as to why Christianity is true. That's all I want, a strong argument for why Christianity is true. Jonathan, I grew up on a ranch. My dad owns a ranch. I'm on the ranch quite a bit, so I don't know what you're talking about there. Charbel Gaming. I'm not a Satanist. How can I be a Satanist if I don't believe in Satan? That's goofy. You're goofy. Well, Jonathan, come on over to TikTok. Let's talk. Let's talk about whether or not I'd be a Christian if Christianity was true. Charbel, hop on over to TikTok. Let's talk about it. We don't have proof, actually. We've got zero proof. Praise God 12, hop over to TikTok. Links are in the description. Links are in the description. Hop on over. Let's talk about it. We have Praise God 12 over on YouTube, all caps. You cannot go back infinite. So there needs to be a God. Cuz. So come on up. Let's talk about it. I just want to know, what's your argument? And Jaden, do we need to send you an invite? We'll send Jaden an invite. Sounds like, oh, there we go. Gonna get a guest up. Hello, can I get your age?
19.
Oh, yeah, that's a lie.
Damn.
When did you graduate high school? Yeah, that's what I thought. Please ensure that your umbilical cord has been fully severed and that the placenta has been delivered before you come up onto the live. Oh. I'm atheist. When it comes to there being like a god, I'm more like I could probably be convinced of some other gods, but the Abrahamic God, I'm definitely a hard atheist against the Abrahamic God. But Jaden, we're gonna send Jaden an invite. We just had a fetus try to come up, so we'll go ahead and invite Jaden on up over here on TikTok. We'll see if Jaden comes up. Jaden, why are you being a coward? 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 15 states that if your faith is challenged, you must give a defense for it. So hop on up, big boy. You got a lot to say in chat. Hop on up. Let's talk about it. Man, Jaden, you just be denying. Denying. Imagine being in Jaden's shoes and it turns out that Christianity is true. And Jesus just staring at him in the face saying, you let them say my faith is wrong?
Hello,
Hello?
hello.
Hello?
So do you not believe in Jesus or what is it you
Can
don't
I get
believe? The Bible?
can I get your age?
19.
All right. Yeah, I believe Christianity is false. Can you give me a strong argument as to why it's true?
Well, I can give you strong evidence that Jesus, you know what I mean, was real. I can give you I can even show you if you want.
Yeah, so can you name a prophecy that Jesus fulfilled?
Brother,
Mhm.
you're asking me about our Christianity is false. If it's
Mhm.
false, you're an atheist. You don't believe in any some sort of God. Then you don't believe in nothing.
Yeah, so I'm
That's
asking
more or
you
less what you're
I'm
saying.
asking you well what I'm saying is I'm asking you to provide evidence. Can you provide a prophecy that Jesus fulfilled?
Right. Let me switch the question right on you. Right. Give me evidence that Christianity is false.
Oh yeah, Jesus didn't fulfill a single prophecy. and
That's
and
only
and
one.
Christianity hinges on Jesus being the Messiah, which would mean that he needed to necessarily have fulfilled a prophecy. So, can you give me a prophecy that Jesus fulfilled?
But you see, that's you're not giving me evidence. You're just giving me a story. You're just giving me an absolute story. It's not evidence. So there you go. I've that
So
just
you
flipped
don't.
it
So
on
what?
you,
What you're
brother.
saying is. So what you're saying is no. I gave you evidence. I said Jesus did not fulfill a single messianic prophecy. So now give me a prophecy that he fulfilled, and we'll go talk about how he didn't fulfill it. Can you do that? Can you provide me a
Right,
prophecy? Do you even know a prophecy?
brother. Listen. Do you know you're saying something, but you're not? Do you know what evidence means? Evidence
Yeah.
means right in front of your face. Right. See what's coming out of your mouth means nothing to me. Means
Oh.
absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah. I'll provide a prophecy Jesus didn't fulfill. Do you want a prophecy Jesus never fulfilled?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Have you read Jeremiah 33?
Let me look that up. Second here.
So
See, now you're providing
this is what
evidence.
an actual messianic prophecy looks like. Let me get this brought up on screen real quick. So these are what actual messianic prophecies look like.
Is it in the yes, in the New Testament? Yes, yes.
No, it's going to be in the Old Testament. Jeremiah's in the Old Testament, my dude.
The old.
Because well, yeah. Do you know what a prophecy is? Can you tell me what a prophecy is?
Yes, I know what a prophecy is. It's spreading the message, the word, and all God and stuff. You know what I mean? That's
That's not
a
what a
prophecy.
prophecy
Yes,
is. That's not what a prophecy is. What's a prophecy?
prophecy. Are you on about one prophet or prophet a load of prophets?
Yeah. Do you know what a prophecy is?
But what you're, what are you trying to say? Prophecy or prophet? What one are
Prof
you trying to say?
prophecy. They're given by prophets.
There we go. Let me read this here. The days and surely come.
Yep, so we'll read this real quick. Yeah, so this what this says is the days are surely coming, says the Lord, when I will fulfill the promise I made to the house of Israel and the house of Judah. In those days and at the time, I will cause a righteous branch to spring up for David, and he shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In those days, Judah will be saved. So we'll get this. Judah will be saved, and Jerusalem will live in safety. So we're going to highlight this part. We will also, and this is the name in which it will be called, the Lord is my righteousness. For thus says the Lord, David shall never lack a man to sit on the throne of Israel, of the house of Israel, and the Levitical priests shall never lack a man in my presence to offer burnt offering, to make grain offerings, and to make sacrifices for all time. So, can you tell me, when did this prophecy come true? Because in order for
But
Jesus to be the Messiah, this had to have come true, because this is a messianic prophecy.
Listen, you're an atheist. What's our Bible even mean to you? To be honest, our Bibles. Sorry, what does our Bibles even mean to you if you don't
Yeah,
believe in nothing?
words mean words. And is there a descendant of David ruling in Israel right now? Is that happening? That's a
But
yes or no, buddy.
this is what I
That's a
mean.
yes or no, buddy.
But these atheists make no sense, honestly. These don't.
Yeah, because you can't contend with the words. You read the words and you got absolutely concussed just by reading the words. So yeah, the question is there
Well,
does David have a descendant sitting on his throne right now?
probably.
Is there even a throne of David right now? Do you know where the throne of David's at right now?
Obviously not, but
It's gone. It's
enlighten me.
destroyed. Are there Levitical priests in the temple in Jerusalem right now?
Probably not.
Is there even a temple in Jerusalem right now?
Oh, there was a temple, yes.
Yeah, but what happened to it?
What happened to it?
Yeah,
It
what
got
happened to it?
destroyed, probably.
Yeah, what year?
Got
What year?
destroyed.
What year?
What year? But what? How am I meant to know the year? Well, do you want me to actually like look it up? What year was the
Yeah, it got
temple
destroyed in
destroyed?
70 CE. Yeah, it got destroyed in 70 CE after the first Jewish-Roman War, right? So yeah, Jesus, this is proof that Jesus is not the Messiah. So I gave you evidence. Now give me evidence that Jesus is. Go ahead.
The Messiah God. Do you want me to pull up verses or what? Or what do you want me to pull up? I can pull up
Yeah, I
whatever
want
you
you to
want.
give
I have
me
verses
evidence
here.
that Christianity is true. And in order for Christianity to be true, that would mean that Jesus had to have fulfilled messianic prophecies. And I just showed you the prophecy that he didn't fulfill. That's an actual messianic prophecy, and he can't fulfill it because there's no temple.
Because there's no temple.
Mm-hmm.
You on about the temple that Jesus got resurrected out of? Is that what temple you're on about? Yes?
No, I'm on about the. We'll bring this back up. What I'm on about is the temple in which the Levitical priests are able to offer burnt offerings, grain offerings, and to make sacrifices for all time.
Second here. Give me a second. I can give you proof that Jesus was real. Like I can give you proof that Jesus
Yeah,
was real.
yeah. Give me one. Let's talk about it, and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Alright. Why I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But see, even if I give you solid evidence, you're still gonna think that it's wrong. So what? You
No,
know what I mean?
if you give me
I'm gonna show you.
if you give me an actual prophecy and words mean words, and it turns out that it's a prophecy Jesus actually fulfilled in context, yeah, I'll reconsider converting. You just gotta give me the evidence though. Give me the prophecy. Let's talk about it. Let's go.
But you sound more like a Muslim than anything.
Wait, what?
You sound more like a Muslim. You should look under
Oh,
their stuff.
why are you trying to be Islamophobic? I mean, Muslims at least believe
That's
Jesus
that's not
existed.
Islamophobic, brother. That's
You
not
do know that
that's
you
not
do know that
Islamophobic.
Muslims believe that Jesus existed, right? They believe he was a prophet of
He
Allah.
existed, yes.
Yeah,
He's a
I don't even.
yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah. So
so
quit
so you
dodging, and quit the meta commentary and just give me the prophecy. Come on, big boy, give me the prophecy.
big boy.
Yeah, give me the prophecy. You said you had one. Give it to me. Let's go.
Brother, you wouldn't know what a big boy is. You're a typical American. So don't be call me big boy. I'm
Yep.
big boy because I'm Irish. That's the
Mhm.
difference.
Yep. So go ahead. Give me the prophecy. Go ahead.
Wait, give me a second here.
Ethereal Embers, how
Typical.
are you doing today? And real quick, going to do some shout outs while we're waiting. We have Kim in here, F. Dot. We have Risa, Ethereal Embers, Arizona Mike. We have Glitter is in here. Atheist Ocles is in here. Mateo is in here. Oh, and he ran. He ran.
I launched that pug into space.
Run.
Man, he didn't want to hang out. He knew he was cooked. He walked in here, like literally right as soon as he hit the join, he must have tripped. And by the time I hit accept, he just box opened up, he hit the bottom of the cube and concussed himself coming in here. But we got Mateo in here. Kayla's in here. The Invoke Show is in here. Washman is in here. We've got Shannon is in here. So yeah, we've got some good people in here. Right now, we've got 35 people watching on TikTok. We've got 28 watching over on YouTube. And then only issue that I have when I am running OBS is my multi. You know what? Let me. So I could probably bring myself up on the other one. And we got nobody in the box. I had like 2 people in the box with that last guy. They probably heard him getting absolutely demolished. He tried to bend over backwards and pulled some muscles, and the people that were in the box were like, ah, fuck. Jaden, I keep sending you invites and you keep running. So, Jaden, we'll go ahead and send you an invite again. Is Jaden even still in here? Can I? And for those of you last night that were here last night, Darth Dawkins came into the live. I think he asked me if I was a hard atheist, and then he dipped out of the live. He didn't even want to debate. Did not even want to debate. Celsus, Jesus finally came inside of me. He said he could only do it with the lights off, though. Silly guy. Absolutely. Hopefully he got consent first. Christians like to try to send Jesus into you without consent, so hopefully he got consent first. Read me. Does God know all things? Blank. God doesn't exist, so no. God doesn't know anything at all. It's impossible for him to know anything. Oh, Washman, I've already had Darth up here. As a matter of fact, if you go watch my my videos, my videos that I have one where Darth is getting unhinged because I won't let him pivot. So in order to run tag or any transcendental argument, you have to burden shift. You have to burden shift. And I wasn't letting him burden shifting. When people come up, this is an internal critique on their worldview, not my worldview. We can talk about my worldview, sure, but it's a critique on your worldview. And I wouldn't let him pivot. He was asking this question. I'm like, no, I'm not answering that. This is your... And he just got mad because if you don't... Once you let them burden shift and you take on that burden, then they can run their script. But if you don't let them pivot and burden shift, they can't run their script, and then they get mad and they run. How are you doing, Joyful? If you're not following Joyful, give Joyful a follow. Joyful, if you want to leave some comments in chat so people can give you a follow. Also, go follow Joyful's YouTube as well. So yeah, Joyful's right down there. Give Joyful a follow. Go follow his YouTube as well. So Joyful, I have finally hit 1,000 watch hours on my YouTube. So I'm at 1,000 hours over there. Jose Reyna, if you can prove that God is real, click my link down in the description. Come on over to TikTok. Let's definitely talk about it. So right now, I don't have a call-in option on YouTube right now. I'm hoping to get that worked out here either later on today or tomorrow. But you can go down in the description, hit the link. It'll bring you over to TikTok, and we can certainly talk. Hey, Joyful, are you available right now, or are you working? Because if Joyful is available, I can... If Joyful would like, he can definitely... gosh dang it, Joyful. Are you accepting... Are you using Video Ninja or anything to... Are you bringing callers over from YouTube? Oh yeah, Marilyn. You know what, Marilyn? I'll probably unblock you. But the reason why you got blocked is... Okay, yeah, Joyful, I might need to talk with you then a little later about getting that set up so I can start bringing callers over from Video Ninja. But yeah, no, Marilyn, the reason why you got blocked is because you mentioned that, well, so your belief is that we are all God. So that's your belief. And then then you specified that it was Arian Christianity. And then when you spelled it as if it was like the Schnatzi Arian and not the Bishop Arian, right? And even if you practice Arianism, as far as not the YT supremacist Arian, but Arian. It's a the Bishop Arian was a guy that was teaching that Jesus was not divine. He was teaching that Jesus was just a human, maybe a prophet. And at the Council of Nicaea, he is the guy that St. Nicholas, allegedly got up, walked across the room, and slapped the absolute sonic rings out of. But his belief and that type of Christianity is not the belief that we are all gods. It is that Jesus was not God. Jesus was not divine. Jesus was just like a prophet. And so when you said that we are all gods, and then you misspelled it in chat like it was the Shitler type of Aryan. Yeah, that got you kicked. But yeah, I'll probably unblock you. And after listening to you kind of explain it the way you did, I now understand why other people like Joyful and others probably have you blocked, because there was probably a misunderstanding because you don't know the teachings of Arianism and you misspelled it. Yeah, and Jaden, don't be typing in all caps. But yeah, I'm just waiting for some Christians to come on up, see if we can have a debate, see if anybody wants to come up, talk about this. Mainly live right now. My main live is going to be later on tonight. I'm mainly live right now. I'm trying to get up my watch hours for YouTube so I can start getting super chats, start accepting super chats. And then once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm almost there. I'm currently sitting at like 7, almost 800 subscribers. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, then YouTube will be able to be monetized. So yeah, I don't know why Jaden is chip-chapping there in chat and won't come up. It's goofy. Tom's, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just trying to. There you go, Marilyn. You spelled it right this time. You spelled it right. I'll give you an unblock once I get off the live. And look, right now it's just me. There's no Rolly up here. There's no Hanji up here right now. It's just me. It is literally 4v1, because you have the Holy Spirit. You have the Holy Trinity with you. You've got God's power in there, able to send you the knowledge. Come down, let's talk about it. Washman, I appreciate the follow on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. Delta Whippin, Jesus is Lord and you are a coward. You will face your maker. Go down in the description, hit the link for you or TikTok. Come over here and let's talk about it. So Arizona Mike, I am lucky. I've never been Christian, so no, Jesus has never came inside of me. I got lucky. Amithras, hop on over to TikTok. Link is in the description, and we can talk about it. I'm not saying your belief in Christianity is false. It has nothing to do with your belief in Christianity. I am saying that the religion itself is false. How you doing, Miss Michelle? And Mina, thank you for the heart me. Risa, thank you for the vote. Auntie Kristen, thank you for the cap and heart me. Ethril Embers, thank you for the heart me. Kim, thank you for the gifts. Oh yeah, so Christianity is false for those over that are just getting in here, and those over on YouTube, the reason why Christianity is false is that in order for Christianity to be true, in order for Jesus to be the Messiah, he had to have fulfilled messianic prophecies, and he didn't fulfill a single one. And one of the easiest ones that we point to, I had this up earlier, it's one of the easiest ones to point to is, let me get this brought back up, is going to be Jeremiah 33. So Jeremiah 33, going from verses 14 through 18. And what this says is, the days are surely coming, says the Lord, when I will fulfill the promise. So we get the prophecy, the days are surely coming. So this is the future. It's talking about the future. Part of what a prophecy needs to be. It needs to talk about the future. And it needs to talk about specific events that will occur, or a specific event. So the days are surely coming, says the Lord, when I will fulfill the promise I made to the house of Israel and the house of Judah. In those days and at that time, I will cause a righteous branch to spring up from David, and he shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In those days, Judah will be saved. So Judah will be saved, and Jerusalem will be in safety. And this is the name by which it will be called, the Lord is our righteousness. For thus says the Lord, David shall never lack a man to sit on the throne of the house of Israel, and the Levitical priests shall never lack a man in my presence to offer burnt offerings, to make grain offerings, and to make sacrifices for all time. So, the issue is that there's currently no longer a throne for David. David doesn't have a throne anymore. The throne was destroyed. There is not a descendant of David ruling in Israel anymore at all. And in fact, the Levitical priests don't exist anymore. The Levitical priesthood doesn't exist anymore. The temple was destroyed in 70, which was, a few decades after Jesus' supposed crucifixion. And so there are no way they can make burnt offerings, grain offerings, and sacrifices. And again, the last part is, which goes against Christianity altogether, is that these sacrifices are to be for all time. But in Christianity, you teach that Jesus was the final sacrifice. So these sacrifices and this prophecy just flies in the face of Christianity. It shows that Jesus did not fulfill the messianic prophecy. Thus, Jesus is not the Messiah. Jaden probably does think slavery is a good thing. Praise God. I'm focusing over here on YouTube, reading comments on both sides. But praise God, if you wanna talk, come on over to TikTok. We'll talk. There's a link in the description. Hit the link in the description for TikTok. Come on over to TikTok, and we will definitely get talking. So right now we're chilling with 40 people here on TikTok. I've got 110 over on YouTube. Let me put a text box. Let me make a text box real quick. This might make it easier for people wanting to join. We'll go with text. I'm going to get this made here real quick. With OK. Bring this over. Whoop. Oh man, can I change that? See if I can change that color. What would be a good color for that? Let's see. See if yellow works for that, and we will move that there. And we won't worry about having that up. PU Matt, come on up. Let's talk over on TikTok. Man, these Christians just don't want to come over. They're afraid to come up and talk. They're doing a lot of yip yap right now. You know what? I may just, and let me see if Benny's available, because there are a lot of theists over on YouTube right now. Let me see if Benny is available. If Benny is available, I may end and see about getting Video Ninja set up now, but it's only if he's available. Available to help me set up Video Ninja. He might not be. Benny's pretty busy, so. And Liz, thank you so much for the shares. I greatly appreciate it. And also over here on TikTok, if you hold Jesus's face, if you just push into his face and just hold it, a screen will pop up, and then just go down the list and hit the shares. If you know of any Christians, run across the street, knock on their door, run to your neighbors, knock on their door. Don't run to your neighbor in the backyard. Just throw a rock through their window with a note that says, hey, Cyber is on TikTok right now talking shit about God, and see if they'll come running over here. You were absolutely right. Jesus did die in vain. And I'm a mythicist. Oh, come on up. I'll shoot you an invite. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, there he is right there. Trist me Geist. Oh, there we go. I'm sending you an invite now. I mean, you could have sent an invite yourself, but I'll send you an invite. We'll see if you come on up. Hey, real quick, can I get your age?
Yeah, I'm 33. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Are you a Christian?
Yeah, I don't fuck with TikTok, but I came from YouTube over here just to have a little debate with you.
Yep, I appreciate it. I really do.
And
hey,
if you notice, my name on YouTube is Mithras, like the god Mithras. Over here, it's Hermes Trismegistus, like the one from the Greeks. I mean, if you want to get into it, like, all I want to say is, how can you prove that deity doesn't exist? When, in my experience, from death and going through, let's say military, and, okay, for example, when we watch our brothers die and drown, when they're being resuscitated, what do they say? Come back to the light. Come back from the light. Come back from the light. What's that light? When I died and was brain dead, who did I meet?
Some people say that.
So what's your proof that it doesn't exist?
Oh, yeah, because I don't accept anecdotal stories. I think they're ridiculous, and I don't think you were brain dead. Nobody's ever come back from being brain dead. You need to provide me any study that can say that anybody's come back from brain dead.
13 days I had no brain activity. My family was told I'd be a vegetable for the rest of my life. I'm here.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Everything. I'll show you everything. Okay, that's cool. You don't believe that, but how about this? Every civilization that's ever existed, they had a religion, right? They had a god of some kind, right?
Yeah, we're social creatures, and religion is a way for us to get away with doing atrocious things to each other, sure. Doesn't mean that God exists.
Okay, so you have stories of people who did exist. Let's say Alexander the Great. Do you think he existed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually have we have evidence that he existed.
Okay, what about Caesar? You know, Gaius Julius
Caesar actually wrote books. Caesar wrote books.
Okay. Okay, so we can take both of those characters you just named, and we have more evidence and more first-hand witness that Jesus was alive than both them combined, dude.
Yeah, give me one. Give me a piece. Let's talk about it. Give me a piece of firsthand evidence that Jesus existed.
Hell,
and we'll
let's
talk
go
about it.
let's go to Josephus and the Antiquities of the Jews, where
Hold
all
on,
he does
hold on.
is
You said
bash
hold on
them.
before we go to Josephus. You said
Okay.
firsthand experience. What's the definition of firsthand experience?
Okay, in my experience, like I said,
Oh
I
no,
had
no,
a bad
that's not what I
accident.
asked. Hold on, that's not what I asked. I asked a question. What in your worldview? What is firsthand evidence? Go ahead.
My first-hand experience would be leaving this earth, meeting
No, not yours.
something
What's your
else.
definition of firsthand experience?
Oh,
Keep
oh,
tracking.
oh,
Lock in. Lock in.
Okay,
What's your
okay. Here we
definition of
go.
firsthand experience or firsthand
First-hand
evidence?
experience. First-hand
Evidence.
experience.
Sorry, that was my fault. Evidence. Firsthand evidence.
Okay, medics are trained when people drown, when people have heart attacks.
No,
to tell
no,
them
no.
to come back
Listen.
from the
You
light.
said. Hold on.
So that's
Listen.
medical evidence. Like, okay, what?
Listen. Stop. You said you had firsthand evidence that Jesus existed. What is that evidence that Jesus existed? I'll go ahead and unmute you. You should have a thing that popped up that said unmute. What is your firsthand evidence that Jesus existed?
Right. You said Christianity is false. Now, I'm not saying that, like, the whole Jesus debate. Now, listen, you're saying
No, you're the one
Christianity.
who brought up.
Christianity is
Hold on.
faith
Stop.
of Jesus,
You brought
meaning
up.
that you have
You
to
brought up
believe.
that we had evidence of Jesus, and I'm asking you for that evidence, for that firsthand
No.
evidence.
Okay, well, let's just go. Like I said, we have more first-hand accounts. We have more
Yes.
people who wrote about him
Give
than
me one of
any other
those.
person.
Yeah, give me one of those.
I just named one. Josephus. He hated
Josephus
the Jews.
isn't first. Josephus was Jewish. You know that Josephus was a practicing Jew, right?
Have you read it?
Yeah, Josephus was a practicing Jew. In fact, have you read War of the Jews? Josephus fought
Yeah.
in the Jewish-Roman wars on the Jewish side. Were you not aware of that?
Hold on, get my book right now.
Mm-hmm. I'd get your book too if I were you.
I mean, I'm gonna try to break down some here. We'll get some evidence for you.
Man, I'm gonna have to go with. Gonna have to go bring up the Testimonium Flavianum here. So you realize that the Testimonium Flavianum was an interpolation, right? Do you know what an interpolation is?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I
so
want to hear your.
Yeah, so an interpolation is when somebody takes the text and they add to it. So Josephus, so what you're going to bring up is a passage from Antiquities of the Jews. And we'll just bring this up real quick. So what you're going to do is bring up this, sheesh, so we can get that small. So what you're going to do is bring up this passage right here that's on the screen, right? This is Antiquities of the Jews. And now the important part with this is that you'll notice that I have highlighted 3 paragraphs. The first and the third paragraph are Josephus. The second paragraph, the one that's boxed in red, is an interpolation. And the reason why we know this is an interpolation is for a few reasons. One, we have an extreme change in narrative. The first paragraph is talking about how, let me get that brought down. Like that is looking weird. The first paragraph is talking about how Pilate, so this paragraph up here, is talking about how Pilate had taken money from the temple and had used it to divert water. And so the Jews started attacking Pilate. And he got tired of it, so he told his soldiers to dress up like civilians and hide daggers in their cloaks. And when he went out, if they attacked him again, he was going to give a signal and they were to attack the people that were rioting. But it further goes on to state that not only did the Roman soldiers attack those that were rioting, they attacked everybody in the vicinity, whether or not they were rioting or not. And then this red box right here, the actual part that's added in later, it's called the testimonium. It starts out with, let me go get this brought up real quick so I can read it. So it starts out saying, let me help if I open up the right picture. But it starts out saying, as soon as this picture loads up, so it says, now there was about, so this one ends with, the first paragraph ends with, they were a great number of them slain by this means, and others of them ran away wounded, and thus an end was put to the sedition. The second paragraph, now there was about this time Jesus, a wise man, if it be lawful to call him a man, for he was a doer of wonderful works, a teacher of such men as received the truth with pleasure. So we have a complete change of narrative, and then we go down to the fourth paragraph. The fourth paragraph, or the third paragraph in the ones that I have selected. So it'll be this paragraph right here, starts with, about that time, another sad calamity. But this part right here in the red, that was added by Eusebius in 380. So that's fake. This is not Josephus.
Correct.
This paragraph in the red, Josephus did not say that.
Correct. So here's my confusion with you is the title. Now, like I said, my name on YouTube is Mithras. My name over here is Trismegistus. Like, I like all the deities. I believe in deityism. Now, you're saying on your page Christianity is a lie. Now, are we debating Jesus or Christianity? Because like I just said, you say Caesar lived, you say Alexander the Great lived. We have more proof of Jesus than we do Alexander the Great. We don't have his
We
burial.
don't. That's
we
what
don't
I'm
have his
saying
body.
is we don't.
But we
You
have
believe
more.
we do.
But we have
No,
more
you-
people that said he lived. Now, I'm not saying that he did all the miracles and stuff. I'm just saying that Christianity is a belief and faith. That we believe something that we don't know for sure. But
So
like,
hold on. You made a claim, and you're wrong, right? There's not more evidence for Jesus. That's just a claim that people like to say. And what I'm saying is the evidence that you give me, like Josephus, you said, well, Josephus talked about him. No, Josephus didn't talk about him. Eusebius interpolated into him. So Josephus did not talk about him, right? Eusebius did, right? When we go and we talk about Tacitus, Tacitus doesn't write about him.
Okay.
Right? The
Where do
people
you
that
say
you think...
Eusebius, and where are you saying that he put that in there? I'm gonna be like honest with you, man. I love this debate because I've read like from the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Atrahasis, the Rig Vedas. I got away from Christianity. I didn't really like Christianity. The more and more I studied, though, it seemed like Christianity is just kind of. I mean, the Epic of Gilgamesh is the story of Noah. It's kind of like a combination of all deities that have lived through the history to me, and I believe in one God. And I believe that there is something after it.
Well, yeah.
So,
the reason why we know that this was Eusebius, there's a reason for it. Is that it is Eusebius's writings. That's how Eusebius writes. If you ever go read any of Eusebius's writings, that is how he writes. Two, when we read that narrative itself, it has a change of pace. It changes. The narrative itself shifts. 3, before Eusebius talks about that, we have 6 other church fathers who quote Josephus, mainly about John the Baptist, right? Mainly about John the Baptist. And when they are quoting Josephus, they never once mention the Testimonium Flavianum. They never mention it. The first time it gets mentioned by any of the church fathers is by Eusebius, and Eusebius says in his writing, let's make use of the Jew Josephus, and then he writes about it, right? That is not a way that Josephus writes. And so there's a type of data science that we can use called stellometry. Stellometry essentially takes common words that you use, and it's able to define authorship. The way we use words is like a thumbprint. And if you want to learn more about this, my friend Jaron wrote a book called Christ Before Jesus. He's here on YouTube, he's here on TikTok, not YouTube. He's here on TikTok under the name Christ Before Jesus. He's a data scientist, and when they ran the stellometry, the testimonium did pop up as Eusebius. It has the thumbprint of Eusebius.
Okay, so you said you've never been a Christian, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what have you studied and what makes you so sure that there is no Jesus or Christianity? I just want to hear your speculation.
Oh yeah, it just comes to a logical explanation and the quantum eternity theorem. Can I give you a? Do you know what a syllogism is?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And real quick, just to get your grounding, does the God that you believe in, did he create the universe?
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
so premise one. Do you know how a syllogism works?
Explain.
Yeah, so I'm going to come with a conclusion. The conclusion is time has always existed, right? Time was never
Okay.
created, it's always existed. Now, that's my conclusion. A syllogism is my argument for that. So I'm going to give you a set of premises.
Right.
So I'll give you premise 1, premise 2, and if you agree with my premises, and we get to the conclusion, you can't disagree with the conclusion. You have to argue with one of the premises. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Okay, so premise 1 is any creation entails a change of states. Do you agree with that?
Say that again.
Any creation is a change of states. How you doing, Joel? Also,
Yeah.
Joel is in here. Joel, if you want to leave a comment in chat, if you're not following Joel, give Joel a follow. If you're not, give him a follow. Follow him on YouTube. He reads the Bible. I'm still waiting for the JRB translation of the Bible, because that's going to be lit. And I think the JRB version will become more popular than the KJV. People will be coming on here and they'll be saying, well, right here in my JRB Bible. But anyway, so creation is a change of states, or all creation is a change of states. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I mean, that can be debatable, and we can go into, given the Big Bang Theory, we got to give science one miracle, and they get all their answers. That's the same thing for me.
Yeah, let's talk about the Big Bang Theory. Yeah. What's your understanding?
We all have our own opinions. It's kind of how you see
well,
it.
do you know? Well, hold on. Do you know what the current model for the Big Bang is?
It's been explained so many different ways to me, honestly, that I'm just gonna go with this: that all of a sudden energy was in a condensed ball, it exploded out, and then that's where time and matter came from. Correct?
No, that's wrong. So I'm just
breaking it down to the most easiest way, so I don't have to.
Yeah. So the current model of the Big Bang. Yeah. So the current model of the Big Bang is that the universe at one point was super small. It was super small. Right. Oh, F dot. We're debating premise 1 right now. Where he contested premise 1 with the Big Bang. So the Big Bang, all it states is that the universe at one point was super small, right? Probably smaller than a human. And then the Big Bang itself, which I think they need to rename it, but it's just the rapid expansion, right? And the Big Bang is still happening today, right? We can still see the universe expanding today. So the Big Bang it doesn't claim where the universe came from. It just claims that the universe at one point was super small and then it started to expand. That's all the Big Bang claims. So it's not an origin of the universe.
Any explanation for what caused that?
Yeah, we'll get there.
That answer would be God.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We can get there.
Do you not believe in any? We will get there. But do you not believe in any deity? I just wondered, yes or no. Do you believe in any higher power?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's our difference. That's why I want to have this conversation. I love. Yeah.
So hold on. My next question for you is staying on topic with the Big Bang. Have you ever heard of the DESI study? Do you know what the DESI study is?
Go ahead and explain it to me. I don't think so.
It stands for Dark Energy Spectroscope. I hate saying that word. Spectroscope instrument. Essentially what it is a big-ass telescope, and it is doing constant 3D mappings of the known universe. 3D mappings of the known universe, and what it's doing is checking for redshift. Do you know what redshift is?
That'd be the dark matter, correct?
Dark energy, not dark matter, dark energy. So if you walk away from me, if you and I are together and you walk away from me, between you and I, there's going to be a red shift. With you moving away, that's redshift. Redshift just is showing us that things are moving away, and we can use the redshift to see how fast they're moving.
Correct.
So
You're saying,
yep.
I was gonna give you a good example for your point too. So like, if me and you are in the same place and you're standing still looking at a galaxy, and I'm in motion at the same exact place at the same exact time looking at the same galaxy, I'm gonna be seeing it in a different time. Could be years off, months off, minutes off. But yeah, like constants in motion and everything.
Yeah, possibly, but that's not part of this discussion though. But yeah, that's not part of this discussion. So anyway,
where did that come from though?
Well, hold on. Let me finish.
Like a gas giant.
Yeah, we'll get there. Hold on, we'll get there. So the DESI study has been studying the redshift of galaxies and stuff in the known universe, in the known galaxy, what we can see, and what it has noticed is that the redshift appears to be slowing down. And here within the next few weeks, we should be getting another report from the DESI study. This will be the third report we've had from it. But it appears that the redshift, it's showing that the redshift has changed, meaning that the expansion is slowing down. The dark energy is decelerating. And if it's decelerating, that would be due to gravity. And if it's decelerating, it would stop eventually, and then it'll come back in together. And so probably within the, if DESI proves to be accurate, what the new model will probably be within the next 10 to 20 years will be that the universe is cyclic, and it just goes through a series of big bangs, big crunches, and big bounces. And that big bounce is what causes the next big bang. So think of it like an engine.
Right. I'm reading right here. It says redshift is a displacement of the spectrum of an astronomical object towards red wavelengths. It is attributed to the Doppler effect, a change in wavelength that results with a given source of waves, e.g. light or radio waves, and observers are in motion with respect to each other. Redshift is a way astronomers use to tell speed of any object that is far away in the universe. The opposite change, a decrease in wavelength and stimulation, is increase in frequency and energy, is known as a negative redshift or blue shift. Okay, so you trust that more than you would trust thousands of years of men going back to the studies of, like,
yes, Did you know that there were probably thousands of years where people believed in a flat Earth?
Right.
But we know today. Some people do because they're goofy. But you and I believe the Earth is round, right?
Correct. I don't
believe
it's round.
And we know that because of science, right? Because of
Correct.
Science and mathematics, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to trust the science versus a book that was written in the Bronze Age and during antiquity that has outdated information.
Okay, but like here's the thing I want to ask you. In your life, you've never had an experience.
Well, hold on. We need to hop back onto the syllogism. We need to hop back onto the syllogism. Yeah. So, can we now agree that all creation has a change of states?
Well, in my opinion, I believe there is a supreme architect of the universe, and I believe that he created all this, and I believe
I'm proving that why that's wrong. The syllogism is to prove why that's wrong, right? So,
and I'm saying that in Christianity is the only reason I came on here to begin with.
So hold on. Listen. Stay focused. Lock in.
I was just answering your question. I had that belief.
Yeah. So all creation entails a change of states. Yes or no?
I mean, scientifically speaking, yes. But supernaturally speaking, in my opinion, I would say no, but that takes faith and belief.
And a change of states is progression from one state to another, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, everything you're saying is correct, and in science we know nowadays.
And a continued progression of change of states is how we measure time, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so the conclusion is that time has always existed, that you can't create without time. Thus meaning that any creator, doesn't matter who it is, any creator needs time to create.
I understand what you're saying.
Yep. And this
I'm
also
following.
includes, yeah, and this also includes mental states, right? For a being that is a mind to go from the state of noticing emptiness to wanting to create, to move to act to create, and then to act to create. These are all progressions which requires time. So the reasoning why I don't believe that the universe was created, the reason why I believe that the universe has always existed, is because it logically follows with this syllogism, and with studies like the Deci study, it shows that it is the case that the universe is probably going through a series of big bangs, big bounces, and big crunches, and it has just always been doing so.
But you even have to say, like the scientists who study this say, you have to offer us that one miracle for us to explain all this. And then for Christians,
wait, what
you have
miracle?
to
What
say
miracle? What miracle?
the Big Bang. The Big Bang.
No, it's not a miracle. It's just a naturalistic
Like, that's-
process. It follows right. It's not a miracle. It falls right in line with physics. It falls in line with the laws
Look
of
up how
logic.
many physicists. Look up how many physicists like Earth. Give me a proof that the Big Bang has any physicist behind it saying like here is how it happened or anything. They also.
I'm not saying no physicist. No. The current model is not that the Big Bang created the universe. That's not what the model is. The model is that at one point the universe was super small, hot, and condensed, and then it started to expand. That's all the Big Bang says, right? That's all the current model says. It has, before that expansion, the current model says nothing about the state of the universe before that expansion. We don't know. Now the Deci study gives us an insight into a big bang, big crunch, and big bounce. Because if it does, think of it this way. If you take a rubber band and you expand a rubber band out and then you let it go, does it just shoot back to its normal size? Or does it compress so hard that it crunches and then it kind of bounces back out? How does that work?
No, yeah, correct. I've heard I've listened
so
to
when
some
the universe,
like how they
universe,
believe it happened. They believe it
and we
could
have
have been like
evidence
a big
for it.
bang, a big bang, and then a more big bang. But they still like. All right, I'm just arguing that they don't to prove it. We don't have a way to prove it. But both ways, we all have to have we either have to give y'all the credibility of saying, okay, y'all found something you can't prove, and then you guys say, okay, well, we have something you can't prove. That's why I'm kind of
the syllogism.
That's why I like having this conversation, because to me it's a good argument, like both ways.
Yeah,
It's
but
both
hold
a
on.
belief.
But you have just agreed with every premise. So you also agree that time cannot be created.
That's how man.
Well, then
I
argue with
agree
the
that is what
premise. Argue with the
scientific
premise.
man says.
Well, argue with the premise then. We talked about the Big Bang. You said premise one.
Okay.
You
I
contended with
believe
premise
there was
one.
a God who said, "Let there be light," and He created all this. Like, if you want to say where the Big Bang come from, maybe it was God. He's so powerful that He took something from the size of the tip of a pen into all this we look around and see. So that's my belief, and your belief is that it just happened. So,
Well,
I
no,
just
but
believe
hold on. You just agreed with all the premises that the universe, so thus
I agree.
time
That's
never
what
existed.
scientific literature says today.
Yeah. So
Yes,
okay.
I
So
believe
if
there
you
was a
don't agree
time
with
it
so
never
if you don't
existed.
agree with the premise, which premise do you want to argue with? Do you need the premises again? I'll give them to you again.
I'm
and we
saying
can
that
argue
I
with them.
agree. Okay. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying I agree with you that is what the scientific literature today
Yeah,
says.
I don't care
But
what the
then if you read
scientists
the-
say. I want to know what you believe. I'm curious what you believe. I don't care what the
Okay, yeah.
scientists say.
So I personally believe that, we can explain it all the way back to the Big Bang, but
All right, listen.
what was
Okay.
behind that?
The
What was
thing that
behind
we're
everything else?
contending here is the syllogism. we're contending the syllogism, right? So the question is, which premise of the syllogism do you disagree with? That creation is a change of
disagree with the
states?
fact. I disagree with the fact that I can't prove my argument any better than y'all can prove the Big Bang. See, like
Oh,
y'all can't
I did.
prove
I just
that
gave you a
time always here.
logical. I gave you a logical argument. And you can't contend with it. So if you can't
You're
contend with the
saying that
logical
you gave
argument,
me an
then it goes
argument
through.
that proves time. So you're saying you gave me a logical argument that time always has existed, and you can prove that.
Yeah, I just gave you the argument for
I
it.
missed that.
Dispute the. Yeah, okay. So we'll give it again. Creation. All creation requires or is a change of states, right? A change of states
If you
is a
go by
progression.
scientific literature.
Wait, say that again?
If you go off of the modern scientific
Then
literature,
argue, okay, then
if you
argue
go off
with
the
the
modern
premise.
religion,
Then argue with the
other
premise that
argument.
all creation.
See,
so
that's my thing.
how,
Is
listen. I just need you to give me the argument on how all creation is not a change of states. Just give me that argument. Support your stance. Can you name a single
okay, I
thing
believe
that was
before time? What was that? You want to finish?
Yeah, so what I'm talking about is like when I made this can, right? There was a time when this can did not exist, and then it was created and it existed. That is a change of states. That means that there was a time when the universe wasn't here, and then boom, the universe was here. Is that not a change of states?
Okay. Yes. Now you tell me this: where did the can come from first? Did it come from somewhere being
always
made, or did it come
existed.
from an idea that someone
The
had?
can's always
But
existed.
yeah, but it came from that idea, and it was brought to existence, right? That's
No,
what I
it's just
believe. I believe
always
that God had
existed.
this thought and brought it to existence.
Yeah, and I'm showing you
But it's
through
not
this
always
syllogism
existed
why
in a
that's
physical
not
matter.
possible. I'm showing you through this syllogism why that's not the case, why that's not possible.
Okay, well, I think that we're at like a little stand.
Yes, we are at a standstill because you don't understand.
I launched that pug into space.
I thought you liked that pig.
All right, we're gonna bring up
Why did you do
Spazio. If Spazio's still in here, we'll bring them up. See if Spazio loads up. No, I'm not bringing you back up. Like, you're not understanding the syllogism. Like, you're not understanding how the logical argument works. Spazio is not loading in. Spazio has left the chat. So I will bring you back up, but what you need to understand when I bring you back up is that you need to argue with the no what I yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. What I'm doing is I'm giving you a syllogism, and if you're going to disagree with a premise, you have to give me arguments for why you disagree with the premise. If you cannot disagree with the premise, right, then it goes through, right? That's how logical arguments work. So you either have to contend it and get me to yield that the premise doesn't stand, or I'm going to argue and get you to acknowledge that you don't have an, and then it'll go through, and then we go to premise 2. And then if you disagree with premise 2, we argue. And if premise 2 goes through, then we'll go to the next premise until we get to the conclusion, right? So I will bring you back up, but you need to contend with the actual premise, right? And we're only talking about the premise, the premises. That's all we're talking about.
Okay. Look,
Okay, so
I understand what you're saying. I wasn't trying to like argue with you. I was like having a debate, and I was just stating both sides of our opinion here. But
Yeah,
in
so
my
again,
belief,
premise
I
one, hold on, hold on,
disagree.
hold on. This is going to get you dropped again. This is going to get you dropped again. So, premise one is creation requires a change of states. All creation. And you said no, you said only to scientific understanding. So, now what I need you to do is give me evidence. And we're not talking about the universe here, we're just talking about creation generally, right? So now you need to give me an explanation. When has there ever been anything that's been created where there wasn't a change to reality? Go ahead.
State that again. Your question's kind of like a tongue
Yeah,
twister
so
there.
I will ask for a second time. Ask for a second time. Can you give me any evidence of anything that has ever been created that did not change reality? I'll go ahead and send you an invite to unmute.
Yeah, that's my point, and I think we should. I'm gonna.
Listen, buddy, I'm in charge now. Unfortunately, I can't shred you into scrap metal as per the doctor's orders, so how about instead you shut up and do your jobs?
Man, these Christians, these Christians. Anyways, let's go ahead, keep tapping that screen, sharing the live. Let's get this out on the FYP. Yeah, F dot. I tried. He doesn't understand how syllogisms work. That's fine. But yeah, so the idea though is that if time has always existed, I believe time has just always existed. Time and space are intertwined. Time space has always existed. Thus, the universe has just always existed. I believe that it is on a repetitive, cyclic universe of big bangs, big crunches, big bounces, and that life is just a naturalistic process through abiogenesis. And did I see P Mars stroll through here? By the way, everybody, how are you doing? I appreciate each and every one of you, except P Mars. Go fuck yourself, P Mars. P Mars. Oh, apparently, even Darth Dawkins was calling out P Mars. That's what I heard. I don't know how true it is, but that's what I heard yesterday. And I'm like, man, if you're getting called out by Darth Dawkins. And Zavi, how are you doing? It has been a hot minute. Yeah, I wish PMAR just showed up long enough. That's all PMARS does is cry and crash out. I did have Darth Dawkins pop in yesterday. He popped in, asked me if I'm an atheist. When I said yep, he dipped out and left the chat. So I was like, okay. But yeah, over on YouTube, if you do want to debate, come on over, hop over to TikTok. Let's debate. Links are in the description. And then hopefully I talk to Benny later today, or Joyful. Hopefully one of them can give me a call a little later, and we can get a Video Ninja set up, and I'll start taking calls from YouTube as well. But right now I'm just here today. I'm only probably going to be live for a couple more hours. I'm just trying to knock up my YouTube views. I need to get my hours up. I'm over 1,000, but I need to be at 3,000 to start accepting super chats. but we are at 14K. I've got nobody in the box. Yeah, so the way YouTube works is oh no. Not 3K subs, 3,000 watch hours. So the way it works is, in order to accept super chats, I have to have 5,000 or 500 subs, 500 subs, and 3,000 watch hours. And to monetize, I have to have 1,000 subscribers, and the watch hours change there a little bit, but I'm mainly trying to get up to the super chats, because then when I receive super chats, it'll appear brighter on, because I have my mobile device over here. It'll pop up with the mobile device, so I'm able to notice that, and then I can call those out as well. Likewise, if you do want to support the stream, you can either gift me over on TikTok, or you can go into my link tree or the description on YouTube, and I do have my Cash App and Venmo in there as well. And when I receive those, we have a Cybers hat in TikTok. There is a Cybers hat in TikTok. Thank you, Lord and Lady. Thank you so much for the ball cap. I appreciate it so much. Bringing up somebody they're going to absolutely destroy.
Oh, I thought you were going to destroy me. I haven't had shit for coffee today, so you'll probably win. It'll be great. I just had a thought, though. I might have fucked up when I did your Discord channel, by the way, or Discord for announcing. I should have thought, do you want it separate from the TikTok announcements, or do you want them together? It's like a 10-minute fix at most.
As long as it goes out, I'm not necessarily too worried. I like them like pop up separate.
They do pop up separate right now, because I boo-booed last night, because I was like, I'm about to go to bed, but I need to hurry up and get this done. I was like, shit.
As long as when I go live, we get a TikTok notification and then a YouTube notification, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
You do in fact get that. Okay, you do in fact get that. And also, every time you say subs, I'm sitting there, 500 subs. What kind of dumb are you? How do you have 500 of them?
It's a hell of a polycule, I'll tell you what.
No, hey, you'll never be bored.
What's your strongest argument for Christianity being true there, Joe?
Fuck logic. I win.
Can't argue that. Cannot argue fucking logic. Question though, is it missionary though? Is that the question?
Ew, no, that's boring. Why?
Wash. I'll tell you what. If only I spoke like Hank Hill.
Also, you might want to check Discord. I did send you a message asking a question, because I have a question about Trismegistus, because the certain someone I mentioned has a very distinctive voice.
I might have been.
He has a very distinctive diction and tonality that is just his. Like, I haven't heard it anything quite like his, but you could tell. So
but he is at work, though. He is at work.
So am I. What does that mean?
This
I
is
just
true.
have a moment, so...
This is true.
have a moment, so that's...
But anyways, I am going to do a restart here on TikTok real fast. YouTube, you'll be fine. I'm going to do this real quick. I am not from Texas. I am from the great potato state that sits between Washington and Montana, just north of Utah and just south of Canada. That is where I sit. So, Yeah. As a matter of fact, so here's the state that I live in is they started a petition. So for those who don't know, I am bisexual. I'm part of the LGBTQIA plus community. I used to do, as a matter of fact, that's where I know, if you know Ethereal Embers in chat, give Ethereal a follow. That's where I know Ethereal from. Is we used to hang out in the same spaces there. And Idaho is in the process. Well, they already passed it, but what they're trying to do is they passed it's like more of like a administrative suggestive note, but it is going to it passed here in Idaho, and they're going to pass it to all the MAGA states, and the goal is to get enough states to pass this so that it goes to the Supreme Court, and they want the Supreme Court to take a look at the gay marriage ruling, and they want the Supreme Court to, like it did with Roe v. Wade, they want them to overturn it. Coming up in November, during elections in November for the state of Idaho, they are proposing a constitutional amendment so in Idaho, the way we can pass bills is we can either rely on our congressman or our state representative to district representative, to introduce it legislatively, or I as a citizen can go around the state and collect signatures, and I can introduce the bill myself as a citizen. And they are trying to prevent that, so they're going to do a constitutional amendment, but they need a vote of the state to do it. They want to do a state constitutional amendment where citizen initiatives cannot be used to be introduced into legislature. They have to be sent to a state representative, and they can introduce it if they want. And two, they're going to try to constitutionally, for the state of Idaho, constitutionally make it illegal to ever legalize the burning bush. So they want to like constitutionally make it illegal. So yeah, the state of Idaho is doing some pretty horrific things. And a lot of people have asked me, why don't I leave? Because if I leave, it just gets that much redder, right? So I stay and vote, even though my vote right now doesn't really mean much. But as more people hopefully come in, we can shift it from red to purple to blue. So hopefully that can happen. Luckily, it's an agriculture state, and I think the farmers are going to feel enough from Trump's tariffs that they're going to start rethinking the MAGA approach in the future. So,
oh yeah, well they have no. The reason I say no is they have a very short fucking memory, because here in Iowa, they had tariffs last time the Cheeto man was in office, right? But they had to bail out the farmers last administration, and they seem to have forgotten. So who knows?
Well, I grew up on a ranch. My family owns a ranch. So while MAGA is scrambling to pay a lot of money for eggs, I just go to my dad's, go into the coop, grab my eggs, and go home.
In my case, it's I locate all in a fair chunk of the state, and I'm usually homeowners will come out and talk to me and whatnot, and they'll give me either stupid cheap or free eggs. So
right,
small town community mentality.
Yeah, something else to look at, when it comes to eggs and stuff. Take a look at your city ordinances. A lot of cities, actually, fun fact, they do allow you to own chickens. They'll have a provision in there that says you can't own.
Not mine.
What?
Not mine.
What? Because most of them will allow you.
I'm in the second second biggest ag state in the United States, behind California, and my town does not allow for chickens.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, because most of them will allow you to own chickens. In the town I live in, you can own no more than 6. You cannot intentionally buy a rooster, but if you buy a chick and it turns out to be a rooster, as long as your neighbors don't start complaining, it's fine. But if you intentionally buy one, that's when the law's been broken. You can also own beehives. You can own beehives. They just have to be 6 feet away from any property line. But you can own bees and do your own honey. I also do keep bees as well. I'm a beekeeper as well, so I have about 20 hives that I keep. So I beekeep as well. But anyways, I am going to go ahead and knock out a restart though. So Ethereal beekeeping is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It does take work though. Normally on the weekends, I'm up at my dad's place, checking them because there's parasites that they can get. What? My live is flagged for harassment and bullying. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do a restart now. I just got a flag for harassment and bullying. So I'm going to go ahead and do a restart. I will be right back. So YouTube, how are you all doing? Got 27 of you in here. Hop over, click the Discord or go in the description. Hop on over to TikTok. We're going to get that going right back now. And if you want to debate, hop on over. We can get that started. And we are going back live on YouTube right now. Or TikTok right now. Beyond Watcher, none of us are claiming to be gods. I'm not a god. I'm just me. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you, everybody, for coming on in. We've got over on YouTube, we've got Praise God. We've got Praise God and Beyond Watcher absolutely crashing out. God is the Most High beyond time. He is the only God. He is the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Nobody will know. Nobody will know because he didn't exist, and Jesus is just a sky carcass now. So everybody coming back into TikTok, welcome in, welcome in. And nanology, that is absolutely right. The idea that Christians were persecuted like throughout Roman history is just wrong. It didn't happen. That's not the case. Christianity as a whole was persecuted legally for probably 3 to 6 years. It was ended in Constantine. But this whole idea that Christians had this mass persecution throughout its early history and like the second half of the 1st century is just wrong. And the reason why we know that this is wrong is through Pliny's letter. Pliny the Younger, he served under a number of emperors, 3 dynasties. And when he was a senator, he was alive during when Rome burned. He was a senator. He was he was like the lawyer of Rome. He was good friends with Emperor Trajan, and at this time he's writing to Emperor Trajan. He's a governor, and when he's writing to Emperor Trajan, he comes across the Christians, and he doesn't know what to do about them, and he doesn't know anything about them. In fact, to learn about the Christians in 111, to learn about these Christians, he tortures them and unalives a few of them because he doesn't know anything about them. And when he's writing to Emperor Trajan, he's writing to the emperor like Emperor Trajan has no idea who the Christians are either. And then when Emperor Trajan responds back to him, Emperor Trajan says, don't hunt them down. Like, if they're breaking laws, prosecute them for the laws, but don't hunt them down. We're not hunting anybody down. So this just goes to show that that yeah, the Romans didn't know who Christians were, especially if Pliny the Younger did not know who the Christians were, given what Pliny's status was. He was second in command of all of Rome. And so yeah, the idea that the Christians were persecuted in early Rome is just boom. It was only illegal, praise God. It was only illegal for about 3 to 6 years right before Constantine. It wasn't illegal throughout all of the Roman Empire. In fact, when we look at it, Pliny, nice thing is Pliny, he writes a lot of letters. What was illegal was meeting in public, like meeting in big groups without permission to assemble. Pliny also writes about how he had to break up a volunteer fire department while they were fighting a fire. They are fighting a fire, and he has to, after they get done putting the fire out, he has to punish and torture them because they broke the law. They did not have the permit to form together and go fight a fire. They had to have a permit to assemble. And so under the laws that Christians think Christianity was persecuted under, it also affected the Jewish people. It also affected Jerib, yes. Yahweh is the name that the Jewish people don't say. You'll either say, they'll change it to like Adonai. Today they use Hashem. So these are the terms they use. So whenever in the Bible you see the Lord and it's in all capitals, the Lord isn't what the actual text says. It was the name Yahweh, and they're putting the Lord in all capitals to protect the holy name. But yeah, so the Jews would have been punished under these laws if they did not bow to a Roman god, because you could worship any god you want. Religion was fine. You just also had to worship the Roman gods. The Greeks who refused to bow to Rome, they were punished under this law. Anybody that the Romans conquered, if they refused to worship the Roman gods, they were punished under these laws. So yeah, the idea that the Christians had this early 1st and 2nd century persecution is just wrong. It's inaccurate. Elohim, not necessarily. Elohim is more like any angelic being is like Elohim. But you'll see like but yeah, Adonai, El Elyon, those are the other terms that you'll usually see. But praise God and Beyond Watch. Click the description down in the description. Come over to TikTok. Let's chat. I would love to chat with you. Going to bring up Everlasting God Stopper.
Hey, I just had a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So regarding the use of the word rabbi, that we don't see, like we don't really see that pop up until the 2nd century. Now the temple fell in 70 AD. Did it take like a generation or something for rabbinical Judaism to kind of take hold? Like, because there's that 30-year window of time that I've had some people push back on that, saying that the word actually shows up right after the fall of the temple in like 74. There's supposed to be some recording of the word being used.
Yeah, so the first person that we see rabbi being used for, we'll go bring this up. Now, what you be, so it's going to be Rabbi Zakkai. He is the first person that we first see ever being like officially referred to. So let me rephrase that. The earliest reference. And the reason why I say that is because if you read like in the Talmud, they'll make mentions of rabbis, but you gotta remember that the Talmud is written after 70, and so they can write about people like in the past and use the term rabbi. But the first time that we see it being used, and let me go bring up when this was here. So yeah, he yeah, so he was first called rabbi after the temple destruction. He was one of the ones who really pushed for the Talmud to be written down. Because again, writing the Talmud down was kind of an issue, because again, if you know the whole purpose of the oral Torah, the oral Torah was not supposed to be written down ever. It was supposed to be for the Jews, and we would memorize it. And that way, then, because the oral, so you have the written Torah, and then you have the oral Torah. And in Jewish theology, you use them together. They have to be used together. And it's like the written Torah has part of the law, the oral Torah has the other part of the law, and when you use them together, you execute the law properly. But if you're only executing, say, the written Torah without the oral Torah, that's how we as Jewish people were supposed to be able to identify who wasn't Jewish, who was lying about it, is because they didn't know the full context of the law. And so it was really difficult for the Jewish people to finally decide to write these down, because they're like, these were never supposed to be written down. They're supposed to be passed on orally, traditionally, only to Jews. It was something that was kept really close to our hearts. But with the destruction of the temple, realizing that these Jewish-Roman wars were not going to stop, the temple had been destroyed, and they realized, hey, some of us are going to start fleeing now. We got to leave. So then they made the difficult decision to finally start writing these down. And Rabbi Zakkai was one of the big proponents of writing it down. He was very outspoken about it, and his view was, if we don't write these down, then over time our culture will be lost. And so they wrote it down.
But he wasn't referred to rabbi in his time, is what you're saying? They gave him that title later on in later writings of the Talmud?
So what you had was a word called Taninin. And so essentially what these were like schools, because you'll hear, like, whenever you hear like CVJ speak, you'll hear about like the Marcionite school or the school of this. And Tanin was just somebody who was well versed in the law, and you'd go train, like you'd learn under them, but they weren't a rabbi. They had that other name. And then after the destruction of the temple, they all changed their name to rabbi, because they still received their instruction. Their learning still came from the temple, right? They still came from the temple. Their thing was just like a school of thought, like, this is what the law says, here's how we apply it. And so the Pharisees were like their own like school of thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like so they operated as the prosecuting attorney, kind of.
Yeah, kind of
interpreting and enforcing.
Correct. But it was only after the destruction of the temple when they made the active choice to start using the term rabbi, to take on that term, because any other term before that has a lineage to the Levitical priests. And because the Levitical priests didn't exist anymore, they then had to switch over to rabbis. And then from there, it's just rabbi discourse, rabbis talking, rabbis kind of coming to a consensus, which is why, like, if you probably heard Rabbi Hanna talk about this, where Rabbi Hanna kind of talks about how the Talmud is like Jewish Reddit, because it's just commentaries of rabbis, right? There's like Rashi. Rashi is a super important person, right? So his are bigger. His are like the biggest, right? And then the more important the rabbis are, the bigger their text is. But then you'll get into smaller text, and like they're there, you can read them for context, but it's not necessarily as important as like Rashi or others. But yeah, it was an active decision to change to rabbi, which is why, like, if Matthew is writing and he's referring to Jesus as a rabbi, it just doesn't make sense, because you would not refer to somebody as a rabbi pre-70.
Yeah, that's the anachronism, and so that's kind of what I'm trying to nail down. Really, is so we do see the word used, because I want to make sure that I'm wording this properly when I'm making the argument. Is that you're saying we do see the word used in the last part of the first century?
Yes,
but we don't see it used prior to the temple falling at all. So even if they're earliest, or like at the earliest, we would. I know you wouldn't probably grant this, but most scholars would grant that Mark was written around 70. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Isn't that like the general but
yeah, that's like the general consensus. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if it was written then, the word wasn't being used, especially for somebody with the the title. Jesus doesn't fit that criteria of being like a prosecuting attorney, if you will, or if that's the proper.
Correct. Yeah, we shouldn't see it.
Station.
Yep, and we couldn't see it. And in fact, I'm curious. Does Paul? Because something that I'm kind of. Because I did a search. I'm curious if if any of the Pauline letters ever use the word rabbi.
Not that I'm aware of. I think it only appears 15 times in the Gospels, to my knowledge. At least not that I recall in any of the Pauline letters.
Yeah, I don't.
It's possible that it.
Yeah, Paul does it. Yeah, he doesn't ever say rabbi either. Which is something that if people are paying attention to the argument with rabbi being anachronistic, I'd almost go and say, well, Paul doesn't say the rabbi at all, so that could be evidence that it was, because the Pauline letters supposedly are the earliest ones made, were the first ones written. They're earlier than the Gospels. So, like if you know this, you could possibly say, well, Paul never uses rabbi. That's evidence that it's before the Gospels.
And well, according to the Richard Carrier hypothesis, Paul didn't even believe in an actual earthly Jesus. He believed in a celestial Jesus. So he wouldn't have used a term like rabbi anyways.
I mean, just referring to rabbis in general, because Paul does say, because one of the biggest things that we'll get to is where people will be like, well, weren't the early Christians Jewish? And it's like, no, they weren't. Paul would first go to the synagogues, and then he would go to the Gentiles. And this is why the Gospels, and it's all written in Greek, is because, sure, there might have been a small percentage of Jews, according to the Gospels. Keep in mind, I'm a mythicist. I believe all this is written in the mid-2nd century. But if I was to grant a Christian perspective, the idea that like the majority of the early Christians were Jews is just ridiculous. Like, they weren't. It was Greeks. That's why it's written in Greek and not in Aramaic.
Right. And Paul even states that after he took the word, the good news to the synagogues, they rejected.
Hey,
they
bro,
rejected the story. Right.
I think you're fake and gay, bro.
Oh, nice.
TikTok
you
shop.
Can come, right, TikTok shop. You can buy your homophobia in the TikTok shop. But you can come back up if you want to have a real discussion. Come on up. We'll talk. There's no hate like Christian love. Am I right?
Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to really nail down all these details, because to me the anachronisms is kind of the I don't know if smoking gun is the right term, but it's sus. The anachronisms are super sus. And if you look at it through the lens of the Gospels being written by Greek speaking authors from the 2nd century, it makes a lot more sense to me that because they don't really seem to understand the details of 1st century Judea.
Well, and not only that, what I think is sus, what I think is even more sus than that, though, is, when we look at the birth of Jesus is told in Matthew and Luke. There's a 10-year gap between those two stories. And what I wish Christians would do is actually take a look at things and be like, hey, why doesn't this make sense? In Luke, when Luke is writing in chapter 1 that he's making an orderly account for Theophilus, who's Theophilus, right? There's only 2 Theophiluses that we know of for a particular time period. How are you doing, Emily? If you're not following Emily Talks, give Emily a follow. Emily is awesome. Give Emily a follow. But when we're seeing, like in Matthew, it says that they were in Bethlehem during the reign of King Herod the Great. And we know it's King Herod the Great because, again, man, I'm going to butcher this name. That thing when you have to, like, look at name. Archelaus. There we go. Archelaus.
Was that, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Archelaus was Herod the Great's son. As a matter of fact, so when Herod the Great, when Herod the Great passed away, hold up, gotta drag this down. Oh, don't have to. I thought it was gonna make me drag the dumb puzzle piece. But they it mentions Archelaus. Now, under Archelaus, he didn't serve by himself. He served with 2 others, so there's 3 of them total. And at that time, Judea was what's called a protectorate. A protectorate means you're not a province of Rome. You're not necessarily free from them, but you're not directly under them. Essentially, you're paying money. Rome garrisons soldiers in your area. Oh, we got a guest coming up.
But Herod was appointed. We know that Herod was appointed as king to the land by the Roman Empire.
Yes.
And did Archelaus inherit that appointation, or did he get reappointed? How did that work?
So Herod passed away. He was a Roman shield. Hold on, let me. Emily, I'd read the NRSV UE, the New Revised Standard Edition. It's a scholarly edition. I think the SV is okay, but I personally just use the NRSV UE. So yeah, Herod was assigned. Do I have somebody else trying to request up? I hate when I'm streaming on YouTube as well because freaking OBS slows my computer down slightly. I'm going to get some RAM and update the RAM on this. But yeah, so Herod was assigned as their protectorate, and then after Herod, it was his 3 sons. They served, and they kind of fucked things up. They messed things up, and then they were removed from office. And then that is when Quirinius was sent in. Quirinius was sent in to become the governor, and in fact, Judea was made part of the Syrian governorate. And so Quirinius was sent in there, which is why Quirinius is doing the census, is so he knows who's now under him. And we do know that, and Tacitus, like, we know a lot about what Quirinius was doing because Tacitus writes about him. We know that up until 1, I can't remember if it was 1 BCE or 1 CE, but he wasn't even in the area. He was serving under Gaius Caesar. Gaius Caesar was the grandson of Octavian Augustus, the emperor. It was his grandson, and he was serving as an advisor to him. So he wasn't even in the area. He was serving as an emperor. So there's no way he was around like during Herod or anything. But yeah, so there's this 10-year gap that just doesn't make sense. Christians can't contend with it. Theophilus, we don't know who Theophilus is. Theophilus, we have a Theophilus who is the high priest in Jerusalem, but he stopped being the high priest. He retired in 41. 41 is when he stopped. But Luke is written after 41. Luke is estimated to be written around 60 to 80. Somewhere in 60 to 80 is a time range for Luke by like the scholars. Yeah, let's bring Emily up. Sent you an invite, Emily.
Hey. I'm not
How
gonna
you
stay
doing?
for too long. But
So
I
what's
just
your
wanted
best
to ask a
evidence for
question.
Christianity being true? I'm kidding.
Oh, you know, I've
Go
seen
ahead.
God. He appeared in front of me. He was beautiful looking. It was quite the enlightenment,
And
you know.
please tell me you made him make you a damn sandwich.
You got it. No, so I've started like reading through Genesis. I started with ESV because I thought that ESV was like the best one, and I started making my notes. I mean, honestly, right from the start, I already have questions as it pertains to Noah's Ark, as it pertains to even like Adam, even all of that. I made like notes of my questions and everything. But I started making notes to the ESV version. So what I'm thinking is I'll finish Genesis with the ESV, and then I'll move. What was it? You said the NSRV, was it?
NRSV. It's like the Oxford
NRSV.
annotated. Yeah, it's the Oxford annotated.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah.
I was
The
just,
updated division. Yeah. UE.
so I was just wondering, what are the main like differences in Genesis between the two that I should be aware of, since that I started with the ESV, between
I
the
think-
ESV and the N.
I think for the most part you'll be okay. I'd have to go. Take a look. I haven't read the ESV is not necessarily a bad one. It's just the NRSVUE is like the scholarly version. Like if you ever go to Bible school or anything, they're gonna give you the NRSVUE to use.
Right.
So yeah, on the ones that absolutely stay away from, and you're gonna get a lot of people. They'll come up and you'll ask them what translation they're using, and they're gonna use the KJV. The KJV is a shit Bible. It was written in 1611. We've got a lot more manuscripts since then, and King James. Looking this up right now. When he was having the KJV commissioned, because he didn't translate it himself, he just commissioned it to be made, and he set rules. So when he said, hey, we're going to make this, he put 15 rules for the translation. And the rules for this was one, like when it came to like the terms of slave. So let's see if we find these.
Yeah, well, I knew about King James, so I knew to avoid that one.
Yeah.
But I did find like an audiobook to go along with the reading, because like I'm not a massive, like I don't find reading that like easy for me, so sometimes I like to have like audio playing while I read, and I found the audio of ESVs that I can put while I read. I just don't know if they'll have that of the NRSV or the one that you mentioned. They might have an audio. If not, it's not the end of the world. I can read without. Just sometimes I prefer having like audio as well.
If you like, I was gonna say one thing you could do if you wanted to like get studious about it is as you're reading like a passage from the ESV, you could just go on like BibleGateway.com and go to the NRSV version and kind of A/B it, like look at what kind of different translations are being used. I know that the annotated version of the NSRV will give you like study notes or asterisks, like it'll point.
Yeah, I mean, I've been making my own notes on the verses as I've been reading, things that like one don't make sense or things that I have questions about. So I've been annotating the ESV myself of things that I have questions about So I've been making my own notes. So absolutely, I can always fact check it. I think that like if I finish Genesis first, and then that's like one book, and then it'll be easier then to change to a different version. But I'm midway Genesis, and I've already made notes, so I feel it's a bit kind of like I don't want to go midway. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and something else I could help you as well. So I'll pop it up on the screen. So something that I use a lot because I'm just not gonna remember all the scripture. So something that I use a lot, and let's get this popped up on screen. And for everybody, if you follow Justin, you'll hear about Justin's cheat sheet. So this is what's going to pop up here. This is Justin's cheat sheet, right? So this is Justin's cheat sheet. We have worst bits. These are scriptures of contradictions. We've got apocryphal quotes. We've got scientific errors, anachronisms, prophecies, failed prophecies. So Justin has put in, and others, because there's other people that contribute to this as well. There's been a lot of hard work that has gone into this. So if you want to get access to this, Emily, go follow Deconstruction Zone. Give him a subscription, and you can get access to that. And that is something that can definitely help too. When you're looking for things, you can use that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much scripture because I also want to read through the Jewish texts as well, so the Torah and all of those books. And
Well,
then
if
I
you're
also
reading through,
downloaded the
well,
Quran
so
as well.
Yep. So the Torah itself is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That is the Torah.
Yeah, I did have a look. There's like two other like sections after the Torah though. Something
Yes.
and then writings. I can't remember. I think it's teachings
It's
and
prophets
writings.
and writings. It's prophets and
Prophets
writings.
and
But yeah,
writings.
yeah, prophets
That's
and
it.
writings.
It was something.
Now, if you do want the view
Also
that
in the Quran. I've got the Quran as well.
Yes. So if you want a version, like if you want to get like a Jewish study Torah, what I can recommend is, let me get this brought up here. What I would do is go to ArtScroll. I'll just bring it up on Amazon because I had it in. Oh, here we go. Because I'm ordering another one because I can't find mine. But if you want a good study one, we'll get this brought up. It's like $50. You know what? This is taking too long. We'll go up to Amazon. Amazon's faster because I got it in my... Oh, sign out of Amazon. I don't remember my password right now. I had to change my... You ever been in a situation where like you change your password and you're like, I don't remember what it is or right off the top of my head?
Yeah, I have a job that makes me change my passwords all the time, and it's aggravating.
Yeah, and you're like, why? So I'll get this brought up here on ArtScroll. And this here I'll be able to show you like what the page is, but it gives you the scripture. It gives it to you in the Hebrew and the English. And then it gives you commentary on it. And so what it looks like is, we'll get this brought up here. So these pages look like this. So up here you get the English and the Hebrew, verse by verse, and then this gives you commentary on it.
That looks good.
So yeah, so if you want to, now again, it is a bit on the expensive side, but if you want to read it and get like a Jewish perspective on things, um, you can look at that, because
Honest,
keep in mind the Jewish perspective is vastly different than that of the Christian perspective.
I mean, honestly, I could probably rummage through my grandma's house and find so many texts because my grandma is an Orthodox Jew. I even found in my house as I was rummaging this sort of daily prayer book, Hebrew and English,
Oh,
Phillips,
nice.
just lying around. So I'm like, I just find these random things, and I have a feeling there'll be loads because, like, and also I think my cousin did like scholarly education in like either in Hebrew or something to do with Judaism. Like she went to school to get like really educated, so she may have some stuff as well on that. So I just don't want. I really hope that my grandma doesn't get the wrong idea of me learning about all this Jewish stuff. Be like, oh, are you a Jew now? Are you turned to the faith? I've been waiting all these years. I'm like, hold up,
Aw, meanwhile.
just educating myself. I love you. I'm not converting.
Yep. Hold on one
Another,
moment.
another really good. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
was
if you're
going
gonna
on.
bring up a, sorry.
Oh, they're friendly. How you doing, Awoken?
Doing good. I had to introduce myself to you. So, yeah, I'm a fan of yours. You're doing a great job. I'm over 18, but no, I agree with a lot with what you say. I appreciate the work you're doing, you and Justin. So kudos to you too.
We try. We try. Gotta put in the good word to end this absolute brain virus that people have all around the world that is giving them Stockholm syndrome.
Whoa.
And make some yap in the chats
It does.
without
It does.
without requesting up.
It does. Like YouTube, I still have Beyond Watcher and YouTube crashing out still. I'm like, come on, it's in my description. Go to the description, come over here to TikTok, and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Emily, I was going to say another good resource for like the Hebrew perspective that I found is Rabbi Tovia Singer.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with him,
Wait, say that
he's
again?
really Rabbi Tovia Singer, Tovia.
Okay. Well, I'll probably get all of the information as it pertains to Judaism once I've gotten through the Bible, because I'm tackling one at a time, so I don't overload myself with information. So the Jewish scriptures are going to be after I get through the Bible. So right now it's about Christianity and Bible and learning about that first. And then once I've done that, then I'll just move it along in terms of
Now,
the Jewish faith and then the Islamic faith.
Now, the one thing I will tell you that you can try to tackle if you want, but if you try to tackle it, it's going to be like a life work. You can try to read the Talmud, but there's a lot of books in that. It's not just one book, it's a series of books. So trying to read
What is
through
the
the Talmud.
Talmud?
So the Talmud is like the literature for rabbinic Judaism. To understand like the full Jewish perspective on things, you need to read the Talmud. But when it comes to
My
debates,
cousin
like,
might know about that.
yeah, your cousin should. But when it comes to debates about God, generally, not all the time, but for the most part, you're not going to have Jewish people aren't just don't pop up, because again, proselyting isn't part of the Jewish faith. They don't proselyte, they don't try to convert, and the view is, you're not Jewish,
Why
we
not?
don't care.
Unless you're my grandmother. Okay.
Well, yeah,
Jewish
but
people do not convert unless you're my grandmother.
yeah, but you're Jewish, so of course she's going to try to convert you. She's going to try. As a matter of fact, Tovia Singer, that's what Rabbi Tovia Singer, like that's what his that's what he aims to do, is look at Jewish people that have gone astray, and his outreach program is to try to bring Jews back into the fold. But if you're not Jewish, he just doesn't care, because you're not Jewish.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
I mean, he kind of does care a little bit.
Well,
No.
let me rephrase. He doesn't care about bringing you into the fold when it comes to people that aren't Jewish. He just cares about people misinterpreting the Jewish words. And the frustrating thing is when Christians read these words, they don't ever look at it from the Jewish perspective. I mean, those that have followed me for a minute, that have followed Justin, we will point out, like Isaiah 7:14 uses the phrase ha'omachra. That's a phrase that's used. It's not Betula. Betula means virgin. Alma never means virgin. It just means a young woman, right? In fact, we have a conjugation of it called almanah. Almanah means widow. It's a young woman who was widowed, right? So an almanah, clearly she's widowed. She's had sex, right? So she's not a virgin. She's widowed. And so, like, little things like that. So those are the things when it comes to Christians that Tovia Singer's more worried about, is how Christians try to say, oh, the Jewish text says this. This is how and it's like, no, we don't look at it that way. Yeah, absolute nut.
Well, they're looking at it from the Greek translation through the Septuagint, so which would have been Parthenos, right? That would have been the word that translated, that by the time it gets translated into Latin, German, English, all the other languages, that's the word we end up with, is virgin.
Well,
when the original the original text was not that word.
Yeah, and Parthenos itself, as a Greek word, goes through a change. At the time of its writing in the Septuagint, it did mean a young woman. That's how it was used at the time period when it was written in the Septuagint. And then when we get to Antiquities, Parthenos had the meaning of the word had changed to where it didn't focus on being just simply a young woman. It had more of a focus towards virginity. So, but if you don't understand that the word itself kind of had a change in there, if you don't realize that, then it is really easy to understand why Matthew made the mistake he did. But again, this is also how we know that, like, Matthew, the book of Matthew was written for the Jews. That's the Christian claim. It was written for the Jews. But that's how we know that Matthew wasn't Jewish, is because if he was Jewish, he would have been going to temple, he would have been training under the Levitical priests, and he would have been learning, because the Levitical priests were using at least Aramaic script, possibly Hebrew script, but they would have been able to say, hey, you know that this means young woman. But the fact that he is relying solely on the Septuagint and relying on the virgin interpretation of the present time when he's alive just shows that he's not Jewish. He wasn't going to the temple to learn. So.
Super sus.
Yep. And Godstopper, this also kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier with the issues. Not only do we have anachronisms, but we have clear-cut cases where we know that the people that were writing the Bible were not interested in actual Jewish culture. Again, Matthew's horrible. Matthew claims in, Matthew chapter 2 that the whole reason for them going to Egypt, was to fulfill the prophecy that had been given. And but when we go to Hosea 11, that's not what happened. Hosea 11, because the only verse in the entire Old Testament where we get out of Egypt I have called my son comes from Hosea, and we'll get this brought up here. Let me slide this over. But it's in Hosea, and it says, when Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. Matthew only quotes the second part, out of Egypt I called my son. That's the only part that Matthew quotes. But then if you read more, But the more they were called, the more they went from me. They kept they sacrificed to the Baals and burnt incense to images. So verse 2, this is clearly talking about the Exodus. Hosea is doing a history like, hey, remember back in the past when Israel was a child, I loved him, and we learned that God in Exodus chapter 4, God calls Israel his firstborn child. Because he says, he's telling Moses, go to Pharaoh, tell Pharaoh that Israel is my firstborn son, and then tell him what to do. And if he doesn't do it, then all the children are going to die in Egypt, all the firstborn. But if this is a prophecy like Matthew proposes, then you also have to mean that Jesus went away from him, and Jesus sacrificed to Baal, and he burnt incense to images. But Jesus didn't do that, right? The Bible says Jesus never did that. So it's not a messianic prophecy. But Matthew keeps asserting these scriptures like they are. And it's simply because Matthew is writing in the second century, the mid-second century, and he was just looking at the Septuagint and grasping at straws for whatever would stick.
Cyber. I'm gonna drop down here in a second, but hopefully when I get through Genesis, we can have another conversation, because there are definitely things that I've picked up on when reading, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more when I finish it. We can have a conversation about that Genesis.
I would say when you get to the book of Isaiah, like, I would start watching Tobias Singer while you're reading through the prophecies.
Yeah, well, Isaiah is going to be really hard. Isaiah is really hard to read, especially when you're trying to look at it from like a non-Jewish perspective. So yeah, I would watch Tovia Singer with that, because Isaiah has like cryptic writing in it. It's like coded language. So I would definitely watch if you're reading it and you do have questions. Also, somebody else you can do. And speaking of that, Rabbi Hana has joined the chat. Emily, if you're not following Rabbi Hana, if you want to leave a message in chat, give Rabbi Hana a follow. And if you do have any questions as you're reading Isaiah, reach out to, there's great resources, and you're in the Deconstruction Discord, correct?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it might take some time to get to his size since I'm only on Genesis. I think
it does.
Isaiah is a bit away from Genesis, I think, if I remember correctly. Like, I haven't gone through I think, isn't Isaiah starting or is Isaiah still in the Old Testament?
It's still in the Old Testament.
It's Old Testament.
Yep.
And
but it's like after 6 books, though. Like, it's not in the first 6 books.
No.
It's after that.
It's in the prophets.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep, it's part of the prophets, yep.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's what I thought. So I have a bit of ways to go before I get to that, because I gotta make it through. I'm a slow reader as well, so this stuff's gonna take a while. But it's okay, we'll tip it as we go. The more we learn, the more we know.
Yep.
And the history of when it was written was about the Babylonian captivity. Like it's dealing with that. That was the issue of the time for the Israel.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's really the perspective that.
Yeah. I mean, right from the beginning, I'm already stuck on the first sort of like from Genesis 1, Genesis 2, or like right Garden of Eve, because it's like I don't know where this other population popped up. Because to me, the way they've written it, at least from the ESV version, it's that when Adam and Eve got, disbanded, or they got exiled from the Garden of Eve, they found a new population. And it's like, where did this new population come from? So right from that, I was like, what the hell is going on? Where did this new population suddenly come from? I thought they were the first humans.
Well, yeah, and this is one of the issues. And still, like, you're going to ask, and everybody's going to give you different answers for this. You're going to be given different answers. But yeah, that's the question that you ask, and that's actually a good argument point to use. That's a good point for argumentation, because if you run like through the whole if all the earth came from Adam and Eve, that's disgusting. And then you'll learn that when the earth flooded, the whole population came from Noah, right, when the earth was flooded. And these are issues, right, because incest is not okay in the Bible. It's not okay. So these are issues. And then you'll get people that will bring up, they'll be, oh, well, over here, Adam and Eve were just in the garden. But these people, God created them as well, just outside of the garden. And if anybody throws that argument at you, then you can throw at them the argument of, well, why were they punished for Adam and Eve's sin? Why did, if these people were already created, it's not sin being passed down to us because we're descendants of Adam and Eve. It's because there were these other people over here that are now being punished for something they had nothing to do with. And so if they take the stance that those were people that were created outside, they just open themselves up for a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, and another argument that I also found as it pertains to Noah's Ark that you mentioned is that why, if God doesn't make mistakes, for example, why did he need to start over? What was the point of flooding everyone and starting again if he's supposed to be this omnipotent being? That doesn't make any sense. So basically this is telling me he had to start over. He made a mistake the first time. So then he isn't omnipotent. He's impotent in some areas. He had to start again.
Yep, absolutely. You were spot on. And not only that, but he mentions that he regretted creating humans. Now, again, if he is, and like Liz said, that is critical thinking. Again, Christians, the brain virus that Christians have, I don't know how many of y'all grew up watching Animorphs, but the yerk that is in Christian's brain housing group has taken off their critical thinking and is like biting into that. So they can't do the critical thinking. But yeah, that's just right. Why did God, say he's sorry, right? Or not sorry, he regretted creating humans. How can an all-knowing being that has seen the beginning of the earth and the end of the earth, they set that in motion, how can they feel sympathy, right? And the second question you ask is, why did this happen? One of the cyberfishing to see how many millennials are in chat. But another question that comes up with this, the whole reasoning for flooding the earth was to not only because the people were evil, but there were Nephilim. The Nephilim were the children when these angels and humans had mated, and it was the Nephilim. So it was also to destroy all the Nephilim. Well, God failed at that too, because later on in the Bible, the Nephilim popped back up. So they weren't destroyed, so God's whole purpose for flooding the earth failed anyways. You can also read, one of my favorite ones too is another contradiction, or not even a contradiction. This is just God not having an omni property. We have a case where God is not all powerful, because if we go to Judges 1:19, God's allergic to iron.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I'll find a lot of different things, but I'm gonna hop down now. I gotta get through, but I'll be back again. Like I said, I've been a lot of reading. Also, I appreciate Evan for sending the gift. Much love.
Yeah, thanks, Evan.
I'm going to be in the UK soon, so I'm traveling in 3 days. So I probably won't start doing my lives again for a bit of time. I'm trying to read a bit more on that, but hopefully I will. But I'll be watching and learning, and I do appreciate Emma. Well, I'm going to be there for 6 months, so I'm going to spend an extended period of time in the UK. And I'm hoping once I'm in the UK, I'll have a better setup than I do here. I'll hopefully try and get my microphone set up, so it'll be a bit better, and I'll have multiple computers, so it won't be as restricted as what I've had here. So fingers crossed. But I should be, maybe once I get there, starting up again. I've kind of taken a break and will continue to take a break, but I appreciate y'all.
Sounds good.
I will
so
be back soon.
before Emily drops, give Emily a follow. And I'm just going to read this real quick while she's getting some follows. So what we have here is we have Judah went with his brother Simeon, and they defeated the Canaanites who inhabited Zephath and devoted it to destruction. So the city was called Hamorah. Judah took Gaza with its territory, Ashkelon with its territory, Ekron with its territory. The Lord was with Judah, and he took possession of the hill country, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the plain, because they had chariots of iron. God damn it, them chariots of iron. Yahweh was like, fuck, I can't. Guys, you're on your own. I can't touch it.
Yahweh kryptonite.
And with God's weakness, I shall bow out. God bless you all.
Yep.
Bye,
good.
Emily.
Thanks for coming up, Emily. And yeah, and the issue with that is that got brought up yesterday. Another reason why Jesus can't be God is, guess what, like, the main ingredient in our blood is? It's a huge portion.
It's iron.
It is iron. It is iron. So Jesus couldn't have bled. He can't have blood because God's fucking allergic to iron.
But then somehow, like, this God character is obsessed with blood.
He is. It's well. So that's how you get over allergies, is you just keep exposing yourself to it. But we're gonna bring up this
small doses.
Yep.
Wait. So that's why flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom of God.
Yes.
It has iron in it.
Yep. So Jesus is God eternally. I am sent you an invite. Come on up. Let's talk. Your little thing in your profile is, truth is the only God and goddess. Never lie. Amen. Hop on up. Let's talk about it. Don't be a coward. Come on
Mind
up.
if I hang silently?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not a problem.
I can drop if you need me to drop too. But
iron sharpens iron. Well, that guy's not coming up. That guy.
So if you're Magneto, then you're more powerful than God, really, because you can control God. You have absolute ultimate control over God's ultimate weakness.
Absolutely.
If there were a Magneto, kind of.
Yep, absolutely. And thanks for everybody that's sticking around right now on YouTube. I've got 22 people. I have 43 on TikTok. I appreciate everybody hanging out. I don't have anybody coming up right now, so I probably am going to bow out till later on tonight. I do have some things I got to hold on. What is Steve Big Rig saying then? The truth of Jesus. Trying to remember if Steve Big Rig is a Christian. I think Steve Big Rig is a Christian. No, what we need to do is all spam Jaren and say, Jaren, go live again. Let me go see who is live right now. Oh, Steve Big Rig, we'll invite you up. You're pretty, I mean, you're small fry, you're pretty easy to cook, but you know what? Maybe I'll start doing that. Starting on Thursdays, I should start doing Steve 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 15 states that you must give a defense. Don't be a coward. Imagine. Yeah, let's go do an Ian raid. If Ian is live, let's go do an Ian raid. Ian is live on both YouTube and TikTok. Let's not do that right now. We got Steve Big Rig up here. So Christianity is false. I'm a firm believer of this because Jesus did not fulfill a single messianic prophecy. Go ahead, Steve. Can you name a prophecy he fulfilled? Steve, you are live and on the air.
So disappointing. Steve is unmuted. We can hear some background noise.
Yep, Steve was unmuted, but we went ahead and disconnected him. So yeah, let's go raid Ian. It is allegedly .ian, both TikTok and YouTube. Let's go raid him. When we go in there, let's do a cyber raid. And I will
It's what
see.
plants crave.
Yep. And I will see you all later on tonight around 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'll see you all tonight.